up everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Meg, and today we are doing a first impression and eye swatches of the new Urban Decay Naked Ultraviolet Palette. I am so excited to share this palette with you guys today. I have to get into it for a minute. Okay, I love Urban Decay. They are one of my favorite brands. They're the first higher end brand that I purchased from. I love that they were unique in the sense that at the time, about 12 years ago, 12 or 13 years ago, when I first walked into Sephora, they were one of few brands that actually had color in their makeup, and it wasn't just neutral palettes. So that is how I came across the brand. That is why I fell in love with them. They kind of went through their little neutral phase for a while, but with this palette, I think they're starting to get back to their roots, and I am so here for it. First of all, the packaging on this is just beautiful and stunning. It's really trendy for right now. You see a lot of artwork that is like this kind of marbleized design. It almost reminds me of like an agate crystal, so I think that it's really beautiful and really pretty. This palette retails for $49. You can order it on urbandecay.com, Ulta, Sephora, anywhere that sells Urban Decay. As usual, it does come with a double-sided brush, and I use this brush throughout this video, and I actually really like it. Normally, I'm not a fan of double-sided brushes, but the blender side, that is a fluffy brush, is actually like a perfect blending fluffy brush. It's not like too thin or too condensed. I really like this one. The palette is described as a versatile eyeshadow palette that redefines neutrals with 12 universally flattering shades and finishes ranging from matte to metallic. The first sentence after that says that purple's always been a part of Urban Decay's DNA, and I said a couple videos ago, before this palette came out, I was saying that I really wish that they would go back to their roots and come out with a purple themed palette, and that is exactly what they did. And I just kind of like praise the idea behind this, because I mean, the brand color is purple. It's been a long time coming for this. The palette is described as having a lineup of peachy neutrals, pale lavenders, deep violets, and black lit purples. Anyways, it continues to go on to say that Naked Ultraviolet's iridescent micro shimmers and light reflecting shades grab attention, while Transformer shadows add a futuristic and holographic finish. Use these ultra blendable shadows solo or layer to create versatile eye looks with a pop of purple. Includes a vegan and cruelty-free double-ended brush, and it does say that the palette itself is cruelty-free. I will say that I'm a little disappointed, because with the other palettes, they give a description of every single eyeshadow and what it is described as. They aren't doing that with this palette. I checked Urban Decay's website and Sephora's website. I can't find the information anywhere, so you guys will just have to go off of my descriptions of everything. But I am so excited to share the swatches with you. So I'm going to throw it back to a little bit of an old school moment and show you eye swatches. And I think the last palette I did eye swatches of every single color was Urban Decay's Game of Thrones palette. So it's been a little over a year since I've done it, because I do have my Norvina palettes back there, which I believe have 25 eyeshadows, which I have no desire to swatch 25 eyeshadows on my eye. So 12 is a little bit more doable, and it brought me back because in one of my latest videos, I do an eyeshadow palette for beginners video, and I talk about the original Jaclyn Hill and Morphe palette, and that was the very first palette on my channel. I think it was 3 years ago now that I eye swatched. So I will apply every single eyeshadow like I'm using it, blend it out. You will get to see how it works if you were to use it with a brush, because at the end of the day, finger swatches look nice and all, but it really has nothing to do with how the palette actually performs and what these shadows are actually gonna look like on our eyes. So I hope you guys appreciate that, and if you enjoy it, let me know, because it is something that I will consider doing in future palette reviews. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Alright, so the deal with this shimmer is that it looks more pink when I applied it with the brush, like it looks darker in color, and then when I went over here with my finger, it's more iridescent, and like you can see, the next color is Lucid, which is like that beautiful white green, and that has a reflex of like this like white green beautiful sparkle. There's also pink sparkle in here. This color is just stunning. It's just, it looks so much better in person. But yeah, packing it on the brush definitely gave it a darker base, but applying it with my finger gave me that more iridescent look. And I will just keep saying it forever and ever, shimmers apply best with your finger. Some can apply nicely with a brush, but I just think they look the best when applied with your finger. So I'm super excited to get into this Lucid shade. It looks so beautiful. That is so nice. I feel like the camera is washing it out a little bit. It looks so cool in person. I feel like you can kind of see the shift on camera. It's so hard to get stuff like these dual chromes to work in person. So here I definitely see a green shift right through there, and it looks more pearlescent in the inner corner. It's definitely there, the dual chrome. It's almost like a slight pink shift to it, I'm almost seeing. I just wish it looked like it on camera. It's so pretty. The shade is stunning. I haven't seen an eyeshadow like this. So now we are going to move on to the purples. one has definite chunks of glitter that you can see. You can see in the eye swatch there's like a piece of glitter there. And this has like almost a hot pink glitter reflect to it. And I'm going back to warning to pack this on top because I felt like the swatch got a little bit lost. I feel like my camera is just washing this out so much. I am so excited to swatch Euphoric because it's so reminiscent to Omen to me. And Omen is my favorite eyeshadow color Urban Decay has come out with. So it almost looks a little bit deeper than what Omen is. And I'm so excited to swatch it. Oh yeah, this is definitely a deeper version, more pigmented version of Omen. I love the shade. It's gorgeous. Okay, so on my middle finger is Omen. It looks a little bit darker than Euphoria, so maybe I was wrong. So just to give you a little swatch comparison. Oh, right there you could kind of see the dual chrome. You can see the dual chrome a little bit. You can see with this one how underneath it almost looks pink on my finger, but this is definitely more of a purple blue shift. They look pretty identical, honestly. I would say that Omen was like the teensiest bit darker. They look so spot on. Although I'll say Euphoria definitely has more of a pink shift to it, where Omen is strictly more in that purple blue family. So if you're like me and you were a fan of the 15th anniversary palette and you loved Omen, like that's pretty close. By the way, I might just like for fun do an eyeshadow look using this palette, even though it's so old and so expired. So if that's something that you're interested in seeing, let me know in the comments. All right, we are down to our last two shades. This is perfect. This is perfection. Like, can you imagine this with like a smudgy, smoky eye and just putting this like on top of some black shadow or on top of a black base? It would be unreal. I love this shade. It's definitely great and it has a major purple shift. And I'm also seeing some like sparkles of even blue, green, and pink in with the purple. I love Urban Decay shimmers. They're the best. So here is the purple half of the palette just all swatched on my eye. I really love the color story of this palette. What I'm going to do, because you can, believe it or not, you can put shimmer in your crease. And I think that's why Urban Decay kind of gets a lot of complaints, is that people complain that there aren't a lot of mattes in the palette, but their shadows and their shimmers are so unique in formula that there's several that you can easily put in your crease and it wouldn't look absurd. So I'm going to go ahead and use the fluffy side of the brush and put the shimmers in the crease just so you can get an idea of what those look like in the crease and kind of blend it out instead of packed on. I have 8 shimmers in this palette, so I'm going to do 2 shimmers, buff them out onto one eye, 2 shimmers the eye, and that is how we are going to proceed with this part of swatching. So this is the first shade. Like I said, it's very, very powdery. but this, it just blends out so nicely on a blended brush. It looks stunning with a big fluffy brush. I know it's hard to see because it's the same color as my skin, but it's definitely there. And even topping a matte shadow with this, any other matte shadow in your collection would look really, really nice. All right, so now I'm moving on to Dazed. This has more of like that peachy pink shift to it. And because I'm not packing these on, they're not going to be super intense. That's the point, to show you that it's not going to be something crazy in your crease if you were to blend this and use it in that placement. And this is me going in 3 dips. I think depending on the pigmentation of it, that's how much I'm going to go in, because I am trying to get it to show up to an extent, just so you can visually see it on camera. But it just looks so lovely. So I'm gonna go a little out of order and go to Lucid so I can put that in the inner corner, and then I'm gonna go back down to VR and put that in the outer corner. Oh my God, I'm in love with this. It looks so green in person. So green, it is so pretty. If my camera can even like pick up an ounce of like what this actually looks like, let me lower my lighting. Did that help? A little bit. I'm gonna keep my ring light off for the rest of the video, just see. And even with that off, the green is so much more noticeable. I hope that it's actually translating, because sometimes the monitor tricks me, and when I'm editing, I'm like, what are you talking about? You can see exactly what it looks like, but just in case, covering my bases. So this is VR. It's the last of, I guess, the neutral side of the palette, if that's what you would want to call it. And this is super subtle in the crease. It's just a nice layer of shimmer with like a tad of a pink hue. So you could just see how iridescent that is. So for me, this is something that I would definitely like to press on with my finger. I can't see myself using this necessarily in my crease. But you can see as I'm looking straight on, you can see that shift and see the little bit of the pink peeking through. And then even over here too. So it's just so interesting to look at these duochromes at all the different angles. I am such a nerd over this. So again, I'm gonna work a little bit backwards. I'm gonna go into Cyberpunk because it is darker, so I'm gonna put that into like the outer part of my crease. And these are just all applying really, really nicely with this fluffy side of the brush. So if you want something that's a lighter wash of color, you don't want it to be super intense, this is probably the best way to apply these shimmers. And then again, applying with your finger is going to give you the best payoff and the most pigmentation. So now this is what Warning looks like. If you're looking for more of like a pastel, like shimmery look, those 2 shadows would be perfect for it. All right, the last 2. So again, I'm taking Purple Dust because it is darker, and I'm gonna start that off over here. I think that this would honestly pair really well if you really wanted a deep, deep, dark, smoky eye. Putting digital down and then just like fluffing some of this on top, I think would look really great. Or kind of more like that oil slick effect. All right, and then lastly, we're going into Euphoric. I called it Euphoria earlier, I'm sorry. And this is freaking stunning. If I had to be a color, it would be this color. So with this one, I just literally dipped in twice just to get a tad more coverage. You can just see how quick I was able to get those on. So this formula, it seems to be like it's really easy to work with. And as I'm looking straight on, you can kind of see where the shadows are and the light's not directly hitting it. You can kind of see that dual chrome effect. So here, and continuing that on over here, this looks like such a dark purple in my inner corner. But then when I turn towards the light, it looks more like a lavender. So it's just like really fun to play with lighting in these eyeshadows. I love Urban Decay. Here is the aftermath of swatching, and I went hard in with my brushes swatching these and my fingers. So as you can see, this is really not a messy palette at all. This first shade Trippin' is definitely the most flaky of them all, and there's nothing wrong with the shadows being loosely packed. Mindslip is a little bit loosely packed as well. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just so you know that if you pick up a lot, it's going to be messy because it's powdery or flaky, whatever the consistency of the shadow is, it's gonna cause fallout. So it really has nothing to do with the quality of the shadow of you wearing it. It just has to do with your application technique to keep that in mind. So I can pick some up on my brush, tap off the extra, and then apply and not have any fallout on my face and still get the impact of the shadow. So that is that with the swatches. These are so pretty. I'm so glad I got this. So here is everything with traditional just finger swatches. The only thing that I really have to say is that the first shade in the palette is it's like the messiest. It's like the loosest shadow in there. It's a little bit flaky, but the rest of them are so buttery and smooth. They're really not messy at all. And here with the lucid shadow, you can kind of see the green shift. It's kind of picking up on the swatch. So you can see how in some spots it looks more iridescent, and then in certain areas where it's catching the light, it's green. And here you can even kind of see it has a little bit of a purple tinge to it when it's shifting in the iridescent, when it looks more iridescent. That is gorgeous. I'm glad I'm able to pick it up on the swatch since it wasn't wanting to show up properly on my eye. And then you can see the shade before it that is just like a really nice iridescent color, just like a splash of sparkle. It's just so beautiful, and I'm obsessed with the entire bottom row, which is the second half of the palette that is all purples. These are just all so stunning and just so beautiful to me. You can see how even the last shade in here, Digital, has a little bit of like a silver or like a gold metal shift to it. It's not just like a complete matte color. There are only two true mattes in here. Even this lilac color, I would argue, is more of a pearl formula and not a matte. So you have Mind Slipped and Hacked, which are the two browns that are true actual matte shades. I'm just so memorized by how these look on camera. Okay, I will stop now. All right, so that is gonna wrap it up for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to hang out with me. I hope you guys enjoyed this, found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe on your way out, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.